Some more head-scratching questions for the Reformed Calvinist tulip people. This is part 3 of Judas conundrums, bouncing around Scripture, looking for all the things that didn't match up with what Jesus said while Judas was right there. If Jesus said these things, it's my thinking, by the way. If Jesus said these things while Judas was there, yet Judas couldn't have been saved, he couldn't have repented, he couldn't have believed, he couldn't have come, he didn't understand spiritual things, it seems like a lot of things were said that couldn't have been said or shouldn't have been said because they're not really true. Wouldn't it have made more sense if Jesus would have said, look, there are people out there that could hang out with me, understand what I'm saying, that I could give my miracle power to, that are going to be said to have thrones in heaven, but they could be miss out on the throne. And if you don't understand that, what I mean by that is, here, sorry, again, I'm not as prepared as I should be. This was right before the Last Supper, right before the betrayal. This is the teaching in the upper room. Okay, same thing, recorded by Matthew. You can read that for yourself. Could Jesus say those things to Judas if the atonement couldn't have been applied to him and saved? He couldn't have fallen under doctrines of grace if he would have repented. This is Lord appointed other 70. Now, some people would say, but this is the 70, not the 12. The 12 are there. The 12 go and do these things. They send them out in pairs, right, and all that stuff. Okay, so you read that for yourself. By the way, lambs to go out as wolves. Lambs. Jesus is a lamb. Jesus also says, I appointed, if they listen to me, they'll listen to you. If they don't listen to me, they won't listen to you. Lambs, he's the lamb. The lamb shared the gospel, gave us the gospel. The lambs go out with the gospel. They're appointed to proclaim the gospel. I think there's some conundrum there. Here it is. Sorry, I didn't know I got it. Here, he who hears me, notice the discourse continues. Jesus' words continue. Continuing in Luke. Hey, I sent you out, Judas, to do what I can do. But don't get too excited that the spirits were subject to you. Here's the big kicker. Wait a second. Written in heaven? Now, I don't know what the Reformed teaching is on the book of life and the names written, but could this mean that all names are written? Therefore, all have the chance to have the atonement applied to them? How else could this fit? I don't know, because this is going to include Judas. Your name's written in heaven already. What? How can that be? You're totally reprobate. You're totally a hater of God. You can't understand spiritual things, yet you're written in the book? Well, these 70 and the 12 were. Okay, again, I use this scripture in part 1 too, but Old Testament prophecy, most and all agree, Psalm of David, we can see that in Acts 1:16 through 24. Psalm of David, referred to as friends. I'm not saying that this is that psalm. I'm just saying that in Acts 1, they talk about going back to the Psalms to see that Judas was in fact prophesied and he was a friend. It's all in the Old Testament, and he was going to fall, even though he was part of the apostleship. Okay. Oh, we can also go to John 13, when Judas is for sure still with Jesus. Jesus says, I will wash your feet, and your outside will be clean. Doesn't say to Judas, but your inside is clean, Judas. He says to Peter, if you remain with me then, and you believe the words that I spoke to you, then your inside is clean and you'll be saved. Well, we can see there's a little discrepancy, right? Because it doesn't say Judas was clean on the inside, but his feet were washed. So Judas was part of all of that. And keep in mind, Jesus is about to sit down at the table and say, my body is broken for you, Judas, and my blood shed for you in the new covenant, Judas. And right after that, Judas, devil comes into him, he leaves. How can Jesus say all these things when Judas is there if they don't apply to Judas, who is reprobate, dead from birth, separated, totally dead, unable to respond, all the Reformed theology gymnastics that they put with a separated man. They call him dead, unable to respond, right? Grace would not find him. He was passed over. He was so reprobate and dead in his thinking that he couldn't change his mind. He couldn't, understand spiritual things.